Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you had a nice long weekend. Let's go ahead and get started on this week's edition of our Train Tuesday. So, what we have in store for you this week, some new job aids for a couple different things. A new UP job aid, so the Unified Procurement Program. A handful of job aids were posted there. Real estate leasing job aids, version 23.1. Also, new vendor instructions for export or upload item or export item upload. If you are doing a procurement that has a lot of line items, that can be really beneficial for vendors. Then also our JPMC, Joint Purchase Master Contracts, and Cooperative Participation Lists. And then we have our bid buy practice sessions this Thursday, which is the third Thursday of each month we offer, and then our quote of the day. All right, so first up, our UP job aids. So rather than necessarily going through every single job aid that and what was changed, just know we kind of did a full overhaul. So any UP scenario that you would be participating in, make sure you're going out and using the most recent version. And also I get it's a little bit of a review today on how do we find those, right? So first you go to our job aids page, which is linked here. You're going to select UP resources from the menu on the left side. It's going to say UP resources. Then you're going to go to the filters and you're going to select those. So really quickly, this is a question we get actually pretty commonly. So if I go to my job aids page, on the left-hand side, it says UP resources. Also, if you scroll down, it also has the UP job aids down here. It's going to take you to the same exact link. So that menu on the left-hand side just kind of lives on each one of these pages. And then scroll down to where our filter is. And then you can click on that drop down and select each one. So if I'm doing a cooperative procurement, emergency, any of those number ones, I could just select the appropriate one, select filter table, and then that brings up the most recent version of our job aid. So you can see the versions they're all 23.1 or 23.2 if they were posted a little bit ago and something changed, but you also see where the date that was published. So last week, these were all published on January 13th. And know that any of your UP job aids, if you haven't done an UP procurement in a little while, just know that there are new ones out there for you to utilize. Okay. Right. Also, similarly, real estate leasing job aids. Now, I know we may not, probably not going to be appropriate to a lot of people on this call. So if you are a leasing rep, just know that there are new job aids for the alt non-RFI, RFI, and renewals for real estate leasing. And of course, again, I'm not going to, for this audience, I'm not going to go through all the changes that are on there. If you have any particular questions regarding that, you can reach out to me or Cassandra Wilkin, and we'll be sure to answer those questions for you. All right, also for vendor instructions for the export upload items feature, version 23.1 was just recently posted as well. Very similar steps here in terms of what you're doing. You're not going to the UP job aid page, of course. You're going to go to the job aids page. You're going to select item upload in the filters dropdown, and then you're going to select filter table. So it's the same exact process that we just did. Anytime you're looking for a job aid, you can either scroll through or select using that filter dropdown, and it'll get you directly to what it is. But you may be saying, what is this vendor item upload thing? Okay, so what this does is it allows these are instructions specifically for the vendors. So when would you use this? If you have a procurement that has tons of line items, right? So maybe there's only a handful of agencies that would potentially use this, but at any point, it doesn't have to be just one of those agencies. If you ever have a lot of line items, this might be beneficial for you to add as an attachment, as a vendor instruction for the vendor's benefit. This is not going to be a required quote, so you're not a required quote attachment. It's also not an attachment that's going to be required to be in the procurement file or anything. So you're not going to see this document on a job aid. This is really an optional thing. But again, if you are using procurement that has a lot of line items, this feature is available on any procurement from a vendor standpoint, but if there's two line items, it's probably just going to be easier for the vendor to add their pricing for those line items just manually. However, they always can do this, even if there's one line item. This feature is available on all of our procurements. And what it does is it allows the vendor to export all of the line items that you guys have set up for that procurement. It goes into a spreadsheet. They can work on their pricing and enter their pricing on the individual items. And then they upload that Excel spreadsheet or the CSV file right back into BidBuy. And so it looks as if at the end of the day, the same as if they had input their pricing on every individual line item. And so what had changed regarding the previous version is this is going to look very similar. So if you have an old 22.1 version, it's going to look very similar, but as a part of one of the newer upgrades, there was a column in the spreadsheet that was the no bid column, and the vendors had to actually go in and change that no bid. So if you put in pricing for that line item 1, for instance, that no bid column was still saying yes. So they had to go through an extra step and just kind of take all those line items and that whole column and just put Y for the entire column if they're putting pricing, or sorry, N if they were pricing, because it was no longer going to be a no bid. That is no longer needed. It makes the whole process a little bit more streamlined for a vendor standpoint. And so if you guys might get questions every once in a while about this, this is available for any procurement and any vendor to utilize. It's as easily, they go in, they click export items, it downloads into Excel. If those Mac users, they are going to have to right click in the downloads and open it with Excel. They can't use the numbers, the Mac numbers program. They also need to save it in that CSV file, so they'll just save it that way. They enter the pricing, then they go back in and just upload that, upload items and choose file, and then they can save and exit. So at that point, all of the updated items will appear as if they had put in pricing. Okay. All right, we'll go back here. So that's the vendor instructions, and it's under the item upload. Remember that. So it's not going to be with, say, the IFB job aid or the RFP job aid or the small purchase job aid. It's in the item upload subject because that's where that lives. And just as a refresher, I guess, for some of us, we haven't talked about that item upload in a while. There are those different templates that you would need to use. So if you are you can see that there's a bid item upload template, there's a requisition item upload template, and then there's a PO item upload template. So depending on how you're using that functionality, you would need to use that specific template for the rec, for the bid, or for the purchase order. Again, I know that's getting into the weeds a little bit for us today, but I know there is a Training Tuesday walking through that feature, and if you ever have any questions, we can walk through that as well. All right, JPMC and cooperative participation lists. I need to post the most recent one, which is up to 12/31 of 2022, and I will attach that as a part of the follow-up email today and get that posted to our website today. So what you would do is you go to the CPOGS homepage. And first, let me take a step back. What is the JPMC and what is the cooperative participation list? So the UP program does a great job of updating these lists from time to time, every month, every couple months, so that you guys are aware of what JPMCs are available. And it's a nice, easy way to get a snapshot of all the JPMCs that are out there, joint purchase master contracts. So these are the master contracts that you at your agency are available to use. CMS, Do It, CPOGS, and also has their expiration date. So I'm going to show that in just a minute. But also the cooperative participation spreadsheet is those solicitations that are done by a cooperative or a consortium. So it's not the state doing a procurement, but the state of Illinois is a participant in that. So you do have those opportunities to use some of those contracts that are available, and we'll walk through that in just a second as well. So you go to the CPOGS website, you scroll to the bottom, you select the Unified Procurement Program link or the icon at the bottom of that page. It's going to take you to the up page. You're going to go to processes and resources for state agencies, and then you scroll down to the bottom, and that's where those Excel documents are. Okay, so just to see it in the real world, we go to let's go to the home page. Homepage, I scroll to the bottom, I go Unified Procurement Program, I click on that. Now, this takes us to the Unified Procurement Program page. I go to the processes and resources for state agencies. And then there's a handful of links here that provides information about the UP program, CPO notices, the bid by job aids. It's just another link that goes right back to that. But then also we have our joint purchasing forms and templates, so the documents that would be needed that have the CPO approval. And then we have the cooperative participation spreadsheet and the joint purchase JPMC or joint purchase master contracts list. And then they'll put the date on there too. So the one I'm going to post and I'm going to attach to the follow-up email today will be through 12/31 of 22. Okay, so what does that look like? Let's go out to, so here's the joint purchase master contracts list. You can see on the left-hand side, you actually have a link to that, the bid by, or the PO number, if you could just want to look at the number and then go into bid by, but there is a link. It has the description for what it's for, the organization, so you'll see, CMS, Do It, CPOGS, et cetera here. You have the vendor, and then also what's really important too is the contract end date. They'll highlight if it's coming up pretty soon. And so I'm not sure exactly what dates they would use, but for here you see there's two here, the oxygen cylinder tanks rentals and toner ink cartridges expire or just expired, I guess, on the 14th. So they'll update that too. So it's just really handy rather than you necessarily having to do a bunch of research on contracts. You can go in and just get a snapshot here. Now remember, you can also go into bid by and search for items that's attached to the catalog feature too. So that this isn't the only way, it's just here's another way to find master contracts. So whenever we get the question like, is there a master list of all of the master contracts that are available for use? We can point you right back to here. They've added those links that you can go directly to that purchase order in bid by and find some more information. So we'll update those from time to time, and I'll make sure we talk about it here on our training Tuesday. All right, the other one is the cooperative participation spreadsheet. Okay, so this one, these are not solicitations that the state of Illinois only did. Those joint purchase master contracts would be, okay, CMS does a master contract for those oxygen tanks or the toner ink cartridges. Here, this is a cooperative or a consortium such as NASPO or Sourcewell or Omnia Partners, some of these, that they do a solicitation, but the state of Illinois is a participant. So these are contracts that your agency can utilize. And so we have the bid number here. Now, on that joint purchase master contract, you would have seen the purchase order, right? So that was the link because they've already done that contract for you. Now here, this is where some of these might be ongoing. They'll add to them if, say, NASPO or Omnia Partners or Sourcewell is doing a new procurement. Now, but we'll have the bid here. So this is the bid. This is the solicitation that has gone out. Then you see the cooperative that did the procurement, the description, the expiration of that contract, when it was awarded or the effective date, and then also a link to the cooperative contract. So that's new. That's super helpful. So you guys just know that there is just another opportunity for you to be able to utilize some of these contracts that potentially you might not have to do your own procurement. So it's good to take a review of what's available out there regarding our procurement or our unified procurement program and that joint purchasing aspect that we might not always think about if your agency has a need. It's going to be worth it here to go ahead and just take a look and see if there's something that's available here. And also we've been made aware of a few times where it helped agency avoid having to declare an emergency because they were able to use a cooperative contract. So as I scroll down here, those are ones that are effective. and you might have seen that as I scroll down. You get to the point where some of these are actually pending and they're open. And so as they add the more not active ones, the ones that are open, you'll see them at the bottom of the page. The ones that are have active contracts will be at the top of the page with that helpful link there. So thank you guys to UP. That's really helpful and can avoid some duplicative work and or at least have some different options for your agency to choose from. Okay, we'll go back to our slides here. Our bid by practice sessions will be this Thursday. We offer this the second and third Thursday of each month. This is not intended to, there's not going to be a formal presentation on these. We've received a couple questions regarding this. The full bid by monthly training is the second Wednesday of each month. That's where we go through and Derek and I are presenting and we're showing you the system. These bid by practice sessions are really intended to be informal, ask questions, share screens, work through examples on your own in the training environment while we're on the call. So it's not going to be a formal presentation in the same way that those bid by monthly trainings are. You don't need to have attended the bid by training that was immediately preceding it, but this is not a training for somebody who's brand new to bid by. If you are brand new to bid by, it's going to be, you might get a little lost in some of the questions because we get into the weeds a little bit. And if you are brand new to bid by or need access, reach out to me. We'll get you into the second Wednesday of each month, or I could potentially send you a recording of the most recent version or recent training. All right. Also, where can I find bid by training and other procurement training opportunities? This is the slide that I keep on here every week. That way you can always have the links. Make that training center, at least the CPOGS homepage for sure, should be a favorite for you. But that training center has all the links for our training Tuesdays, our bid by training, as well as some of the other procurement training that we offer. Okay, and finally, I couldn't decide between both of these. To me, they kind of go together. First, Mark Twain, worrying is like paying a debt you don't owe. I love that. And also from Epictetus, it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. So it's the whole concept of sometimes we're worried about things that it goes back to kind of what we were talking about last week in terms of knowing what you have control of and just be concerned and focused on the things that you do have control of. So sometimes we worry about things and 80% of what could happen never happens. And so it's all about our opinion of things. I've seen this Epictetus quote translated a couple different ways, but it's not the things that upset us, it's our feelings about that and our responses to those things that really get us upset and frustrated. So, all right, great. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Tuesday. Also, the video and slides will be posted to the Training Tuesday page shortly, and I will get that JPMC and cooperative participation list posted, and I'll also attach it to the follow-up email. Thank you, everybody.